Now. What's up, everybody? We're back.
Hey.
The live stream is back. The Palooza Halloween Hangout, our second event today. And we brought some friends. A lot of friends. 8 of them, to be exact. So, welcome, everybody. Wave into the camera now, people. This is your chance.
Hey.
Okay, we have. I'm going to go through it for us, Don, because I have the view already. Next to me on my right is Marko Manev. I have the chance to talk to him. He was like one of my favorite artists back like 6 years ago when I started out. You know, I loved the Noir series, which was one of my favorites,
Thank you.
and I have a bunch of. I mean, I have something up. People can't see it right now, but it's like I got the Ray tie, the tie for episode 9, which is really cool. So thank you for that. Next to Marko, we have Rich Davies, aka Turks Works. How you doing, Rich?
Yeah, I'm very good, thanks. Good. Yeah.
Finally, we have a chance to meet as well. I just know you from pictures and Facebook, so.
Yeah, most people do. I don't do this very often, so
But maybe this is the future. We will see. We will see how that's gonna go. And next to Rich, I have somebody I have never even seen a face because he only has up his design logo, which is Scott Hopko. Scott, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing pretty well.
Man of mystery.
You got a nice collection of posters back there.
I've got a few. Yeah. Thank you.
That's very good. Did you theme the Mandalorian just for us? I mean, people can't see it.
I tried.
It's in the back
I
there,
didn't
people.
get to see the episode last night, so I'm psyched to see it tonight.
Yeah, we're not going to try to spoil anything for you people. So,
So,
yeah, and then we have the main man who made a lot of things happen for this con. It's Doaly.
Oh, right. I was wondering who you were going to say then. Yeah, thank you. No.
It's you, buddy. I mean,
Hey,
we had the chance to talk. Doaly was on the podcast. Seems like eons ago, but it's not that long ago. But Doaly is such a good guy. Glad to have him on this panel of greatness. Let's call it what it is. Underneath me, we're going to have an old familiar person. We're going to have Stephan Sampson, a.k.a. The Dark Inker. He has been on for the Moore Art Special that came out last Thursday. And he also has some great artwork behind him.
Yep.
Cheers.
Great that you're here, Stephan.
Yeah, nice to be here again. Nice to see you again and all the crew.
That's great. And next to Stephan, we have a New York Yankees player, I take it.
I've come as Dom's worst nightmare.
I mean, it's Halloween. You have to.
Exactly right.
Okay, and next to Pete, aka 17th Oak, we have Chelsea Lowe, who has been also on the podcast not that long ago. And yeah, we just saw your beautiful piece for Mindhunter. That's a giveaway. So people check that out. The event before, check the ending. We have a giveaway. So if you want to take part of it, there's still a chance. The giveaway is going to run until Monday. So you have the chance to rewatch stuff and take part in the giveaway. And then next to Chelsea on the right, we have you look a bit like Richard Armitage, I have to say. Mike,
Okay.
tell us a little bit more.
You're talking to me?
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to take that as a compliment.
You
Thank
better. So, Mike, you have something in the back there too. A lot of cool figurines I can see.
I do, yeah. I kind of started, I got one of those sideshow premium format figures, those big statues that they're always promoting. And it was kind of like a gateway drug. You buy one and you just can't. Now I've got like 6 back
I know
there.
the feeling. I know the feeling.
Yeah.
And I have to tell you, they just sent out, because I pre-ordered like the first day it was possible, they just sent out that the bounty itself is going to be on its way soon.
Nice.
Life size. And then in the corner, obviously, my guest host, Don Thompson. How you doing? How you doing, man?
We're doing good.
What do you have to say to Pete? What do you have to say to Pete?
Don't even get me going.
that bad.
New York Yankees crap. I mean, I'm going to go sign a new artist, 14th and Pine.
Oh. That's my other alias. Oh.
That's great. So, guys, we try to take this little get together and get to know some of the Poster Posse artists, get to know them a little bit better. So we have some little fun get to know you questions. I was wondering if there are, first off, are there some fun facts you're willing to talk about? Maybe that you always like to wear tidy whities or something like that.
No tidy.
No tidy whities on Don's end. But who has a little fun fact about themselves?
Okay, I've got one, which people may know. My name, 17th and Oak, comes from my address when I spent a year living in Canada.
Okay, but why Canada?
I was in a rut, I suppose you could say, and decided to kind of take a step from the creative field. Moved to Canada for a year because Canada. And decided that I wanted to get back into the creative field as soon as I came back to the UK. So I made that decision in Canada when living at 17th and Oak. So that's why I call myself 17th and Oak.
I like it.
Was it a good stay? Did you have a nice home there?
Yeah, it was awesome. Like one of the greatest experiences of my life, to be honest, and it's still giving 10 years later.
Oh, I know that feeling. Was it? But you went there basically for college or something like that, or what was?
No, I literally was. I don't know. I just felt a little bit stuck in my life, so I just got a visa, put all my stuff into storage, quit my job, and just went over there and did non-creative jobs to kind of test myself to see whether this was an industry I really wanted to be in because I was a graphic designer originally. And so I decided that yes, I did, but I wanted to be on my own terms.
Yeah, I know the feeling. I mean, I was an exchange student in high school, and that was like definitely one of the experiences I always recommend because I'm a teacher and in my day job, and I always recommend like students to go abroad and spend a year somewhere else, learn a new language and a new culture. And as always, something to like broaden your horizon.
Yeah, I 1000% agree.
Okay. Who has another fun fact about themselves?
I want to ask Mike a question.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Mike, in your man cave, what's your most prized possession?
What is my most prized possession? That's I've got a couple things. I have two things. Well, I'm a big Indiana Jones fan, so I've got the Grail Diary, which I hand illustrated every page in the diary. Wow. So that took me a long time. So that, and then I hand weathered it, and so that's kind of I like that. And then I have the Cup of Christ, which is a replica of the Grail from Last Crusade, and my wife and I actually used that in our wedding ceremony.
Wow!
Wow!
So that's kind of a thing. So those two things have kind of sentimental value.
I want to know more about the ceremony, Mike. I want to know more about the ceremony.
The ground opened up. Fell into a chasm.
There was nothing geeky or unusual about it, but we thought we would kind of throw in this little thing that only her and I, and the priest really knew about. So that was kind of our little thing.
Okay, but did you tell people afterwards?
Yeah. Some people knew, and we had, we're big movie fans, so we had. All the wedding tables they had instead of labeled, like table 1, 2, and 3, they were movie character names.
Okay.
And we tried to do fun little things like that to kind of bring our interest into our wedding and whatnot.
Yeah,
it's pretty fun.
And what was the table where the bride and the groom, where you were sitting?
I don't know. I'm trying to remember. I can't remember what it was.
Got you on that one.
Hopefully Mrs. Mahle isn't watching.
Mike, it would be nice to take that cup, that Holy Grail, and dump it on Sean Connery today.
Oh yeah,
bring it back.
Good that you open it up, Scott. Yeah, a little minute of silence. Let's make it at least 10 seconds for the late Sean Connery. He died today, 90 years old, and he's been a great actor, so many great roles. He was my favorite James Bond, and I guess everybody of you will also have a story that goes along with this. But let's give it 10 seconds and then Okay, thank you guys. Appreciate it. So yeah, speaking of Sean Connery, what's your favorite Sean Connery story, people?
I think. Has anyone heard the story how there was? I can't remember. So he was on the set with an actress. I don't know who it was, and she was. I think the story goes as her boyfriend or something was like a mobster or something along those lines.
And he jumped on stage.
Yeah. And he came in and Connery ended up beating him up or something, or
what?
I think he jumped on stage.
I can't remember the story exactly, but I'm paraphrasing. That was it a little bit, and I always thought that was super cool.
I think he was envious of the romance of Sean Connery and the actress, and he jumped on stage with a gun, and Sean Connery just kind of whipped the gun out of his hand and wrestled him to the ground.
Wow.
Damn.
It's a good story.
He's a badass.
Yeah.
He was a I think he was a bodybuilder when he was younger, before he was
He was like a Mr. World or something like that. Yeah.
It's Mr. Universe.
Mr. Universe. Yeah.
Yeah.
You have to be a badass to wear that Zardoz outfit that he wore.
Exactly.
No one's gonna say shit to him, you know. I mean, it's like, oh,
Zardoz.
I reckon he wore that underneath everything he wore in every movie.
Yeah. Harrowing, wasn't it? Yeah.
Okay, does anybody else have a fun fact for us? I mean, I love the ones we heard so far, but I want to hear some more. Some posse
I want to ask
inside.
Chelsea what her favorite scary movie is.
What?
What's your favorite scary movie, Chelsea?
Probably Sleepy Hollow.
Yeah.
It just like perfectly captures that entire mood and atmosphere of the Halloween season.
That's a good one.
Yeah, that's a really
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we had a fun fact earlier about Doaly that he knows two. Is it
additional
two
languages?
additional languages?
Oh yeah. Just mother tongue and so forth. Yeah. So I speak Punjabi with my parents and everything else. I also know Hindi because it's the main language from India. It's kind of like if you know one, you know the other. They're quite close to quite interchangeable in some ways. If you understand one, you should understand the other.
How's it, by the way, with your cooking? How's it, by the way, with your cooking?
Cooking's great. You should come over.
All right, I will.
Anytime. The open invitation. Yeah, love to cook. So if anyone is in England, I know some of the guys already are, but yeah, love cooking.
Great.
There's always a space at the table. One little fact, I guess it's some Sean Connery-esque. We share the same birthday. So we're both born on August 25th.
There you go.
That's a good one.
Interesting.
Nice.
Sean Connery, man. Crazy.
That's the fun bit. From asking scary movies, my favorite, even though it still scares the crap out of me, is the original Nightmare on Elm Street. Watched that way too young, and I blame my brother for that. But yeah, still love that film, even though I still, still scared to it till this day.
Okay, for everybody, it's an open question. And what does Halloween mean to you? I mean, we having the Palooza on this day, and it's always each year there's going to be some cool art coming out for like Halloween movies or in terms of Halloween themed things, and even like we're using Skype to put you all in here on YouTube, and they even changed their little emoticons. The thumbs up is like a cut off hand, giving a thumbs up and stuff like that, and the heart is a little spider web and stuff like that. So that's a cool thing. But what does it mean to you guys? Do you have a connection to Halloween?
I think Chelsea decorates her house pretty good.
Yeah, I do. I love the decorating and I love decorating.
What do we have?
Watching
what can we see, Chelsea, when we're at your
or-
place?
Well, in my front yard, I have a pop-up coffin, and I have a life-size skeleton that's sitting up against a tree. And in one of my trees, I have a pretty big-sized bat skeleton that's hanging upside down. That's pretty cool. I have a couple of tombstones in the flower beds. I've got a couple of like fun ghouls that are hanging up in the trees and bushes. So yeah, and of course I've got lights too hanging up.
Yeah.
Oh, I know. What do we all think about the Addams Family coming? Tim Burton possibly doing the Addams Family.
Yes.
Oh, I hadn't heard.
Can't wait.
I haven't heard that.
Yeah,
So is it going to be live action, animated?
live action. He's supposedly
Live action.
to produce it and also direct all 8 episodes.
Oh, Oh.
Okay, we're going a series. Okay.
Yeah.
There's a bidding war going on, I guess, or will be a bidding war going on for who's going to get it. So
he would be perfect for it.
Oh God, yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah.
It's about
I
time.
think it's the.
Yeah. So since we cannot really go out, there's been, for example, in Great Britain and Germany, those circuit breaker lockdowns again, and other parts of the world as well. But how do you stay creative while you're inside?
I mean, we all work from home, I guess.
I know,
so.
but
Yeah,
sometimes.
most of us already live inside and work
But
from home.
don't you have to
Yeah.
like get input like from the outside world? And since nothing is really happening.
Well, email.
Okay.
There's email people.
Chelsea can be motivated and inspired by email.
Simply by an email.
Yeah.
You know,
I listen to a lot
I
of
found
podcasts too.
it's a great time to start doing some of my own personal work. So, not working because since some of the entertainment work has kind of dried up a little bit, I've spent a lot of time doing a lot of personal stuff. So that's good.
You're launching a Kickstarter pretty soon, right? Or did you already launch it?
Monday it launches.
Oh, nice.
Third book, Monday.
Yeah. So we'll post something about that on our Instagram page for you guys to go check out his new book that he has coming out.
Yeah.
What's the title of the book?
Squared. And it just comes from the size of the book because I decided to go square this time. So
Very cool.
Interesting. And any other like tips maybe to stay creative if you're not getting inspired by emails?
Well, Mandalorian just came out, so I'm sure people are inspired by that,
Yeah.
which we can't talk about.
Well, we can't talk about story, but no. I think from keeping yourself motivated and creative, it's like I think all of us have all these projects that we wanted to have time to work on.
Yeah.
And it's given us the time to do that, which is great. So it's like my notepad in the back. There's always I've got an idea, and I note it down, and I've been able to hit up a few of them during like COVID and lockdown.
Okay.
It's been great from that point of view.
So what would you say each of you is the favorite, or like not the favorite, but the best thing that happened in COVID? Like a positive outlook.
Oh gosh.
Oh boy.
Yeah, that's a tricky
That's a
one.
hard one.
That's a tricky one.
I think, and I think a lot of people could say this. They've learned the value of work-life balance.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's quite a big one. I think because like you just keep working and working until you just don't know what you're doing anymore, and then we've been forced to stop, and we're like, oh wow, I can have a life even if I've got to stay in the same four walls. That's definitely something I learned. I
get to spend a lot more time with my kids.
Right.
So we're all together all the time. So it's, I'm always with them, and that's nice.
How's the homeschooling going, Mike?
It's not too bad. When it first started off, it was a little rough. And then my kids actually went back to school full time starting in August. But right now we have COVID in the house. So one of my sons has it. So we are all on strict lockdown for the next 2 weeks. We're in quarantine.
Fingers crossed everything will run its course in a good way.
Yeah, I think so.
But yeah, so that's a scary situation. I mean, being in that way, I mean, you can still work because you work from home.
Yeah.
But
that's good.
Having that in the house, did it change the outlook on this on the situation it is? I mean, when we look to the United States, there are people that
right. It's I don't know if it's changed our outlook necessarily. Luckily he's not, he's only 11, so he's got a little bit of a stuffy nose and a little bit of a sore throat. That's about it. He's had it for about a week. So I think we've maybe hit the worst of it. So that's pretty good. And the rest of us are not showing any symptoms at all. So maybe it'll come, maybe it won't. We'll see.
Yeah. Okay.
I feel bad because I think, some people have suffered obviously, but during this time, our family, this summer was just an amazing summer. Like Mike was saying, you get to spend time with your kids. I don't think we'll ever have this much time together again in our lives or their lives. So for us, it's been, kind of magic. And I feel bad saying that, but sometimes people are so used to working on, thinking ahead that they can't be in the moment. But hopefully this time has, allowed us to kind of be in the moment and breathe.
Yeah.
I don't think you have to feel bad saying that, because you what you've done is basically find the silver lining in a bad situation. And, everybody is complaining about how we can't be out in crowds and we can't go to the movies and we can't do this, but you've actually found the silver lining to it. Like you had an amazing summer with your family.
Yeah. And I did get to go to an IMAX movie the other night.
Oh, what did you watch?
Okay. I was so happy. I had the biggest smile on my face, the biggest popcorn. And there were about 20 people in the IMAX theater, and we went to see Tenet.
Of course.
And I think, it's a great film. You'll need to go see it a few times to really digest it all. But to just be in the theater, I hadn't been in the theater in 9 months. And growing up, I worked at a movie theater, so for about 6 years. So it was just in my blood. Even when I went out working on my own as a design agency, my wife would always know where I was after 5 o'clock, because if I was visiting a client, I would always go seek out what was playing at 5:30. And so I would never be at the bar. I don't have an alcohol problem. I have a movie problem.
Don't we all?
So
Don't we all?
Yeah. So that's me.
Yeah, that's totally understandable. I mean, in Germany it was a little bit better in terms of what was possible and the hygiene rules that they had to comply with, and I think that helped a lot with the in the way people could actually enjoy the movie theater. And that's why it's like super hard to see. Like, for example, my friend of mine, he's the general manager of the local IMAX here, and he reported that, or he told me that there were no situations of any new, like, people that had COVID, and that people had to be alarmed because all the rules and the measures that were taken prevented all of that, and now they have to close, and that's like really bad thing. I mean, he's part of a bigger cinema group, and but we have also like smaller cinemas here in Germany, and they are kind of dying out, and I think that's the hard truth in terms of like economy and all of that. And that's very sad to see that these smaller cinemas that have been around for like 100+ years are like dying down.
Yeah. It was so bad for me that I looked up where the nearest theater was, which was about 83.5 miles away. And I was like, okay, if I leave at 5, I can get there for the 7:30. I mean, that's how bad the addiction was. Just to sit in a theater and have a box of popcorn and meditate, basically, and be inspired. So, I mean, the movie theater for me is really what would have been museums 100 years ago.
Yeah.
People would go to those museums to get inspired. For their own creed.
What about drive-ins, Scott? Would you consider drive-ins?
Oh, drive-ins! I love drive-ins. We just don't have that many where we are, because we're more northern, so they're only open for maybe 3-4 months of the year.
Oh, I see. Okay, people. I want to get a little more into the way you do things, and that is making posters. Are there any kind of new tools of the trade? Is there anything that all the up-and-coming artists should know about with all your experience? Is there something you want to give them, like, on the way?
Hints, tips or something,
I think it's the last couple of years now, I've been using a lot of 3D software, which has been great because we all love having great reference material, whether it's photography and so forth, or whether it's posing yourself. But in certain situations, you just can't achieve like the angles that's possible that you have in your imagination, and therefore like 3D comes in really handy for that. So whether it's posing a character, or whether it's like building a spaceship or anything like that, 3D's been invaluable from that point of view. It allows your imagination just that little more like advance that you can create whatever you want.
How is it?
What's up?
Doaly, I'm sorry.
What software do you use?
Stephen?
What software you use, Doaly?
I'm using, it's a combination of Blender and DAZ 3D. Both of them are free software as well. You can download extra plugins and payable plugins and so forth like that. But the base program is free, so anyone can pick it up today and start playing around. Check out some tutorials.
How hard was it to teach yourself?
Not that hard. I mean, I've used like a very small amount of 3D when I was studying. But if you're used to using software on your computer anyway, and you're from that creative background, you just play around with it. It's not like you're gonna break anything, to be honest.
Right.
So like when I learned Photoshop, it was just a case of let's just play around with it and kind of use it to do how you want to interact with it, and then you find your kind of method. And you can if there's something in particular, just Google that. Oh, how do I do this? And there's a quick tutorial out there. But there's never let's take a class. You don't have to invest in hours and hours of learning before you start picking it up. I would say pick it up, play with it. If you're working on a job that has a particular need, that's always the easiest way, because then you think, great, I can use it for this job, and that allows me the time to play with it. But when you're stuck, it's like when we always opt for Google, don't we? Oh, what's the answer to this? Same sort of thing. Oh, how do I do this? Check out Google, check out a quick 5-minute video, solve that problem, and you move ahead with it.
Cool.
And
Marko, did you get all that?
I did.
Marko knows why I'm asking.
Marko, I want to hear the story too.
No.
About what?
Okay.
Yeah.
But
What story? Yeah, I have no idea.
There's no story.
What story? There's no story here.
Okay.
We're not talking about that.
Okay.
I'll be an NDA or something. Yeah.
Pause. Okay. But
Don?
Marko, what would you give on the way for what kind of tool do you want to tell the people about?
I mean, I don't know. I think I'm in the same page with Doaly here, because I was looking into learning more 3D for a while now for a certain project that Don knows what's going on about. But not just, I use very basic stuff like Photoshop and sometimes Illustrator for some vector stuff, but just I don't know. Pay attention more to anatomy and there are a lot of cool artists that we know of today that are doing posters and illustration, but it's also really cool to study the old masters and how they did things like the traditional way. Even though I'm totally I'm full I'm 100% digital for the last 10 years, I would say, maybe more. But yeah, I think that traditional art can teach us a lot of stuff how to implement in the digital world.
Yeah. The obvious question here, Sal put just in the Salvador just put it in the questions there. What brushes do you use?
Oh.
Let me answer it for you. It's probably Kyle's brushes or whatever they call.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, Kyle.
Kyle's
Yeah.
brushes.
Boring
I,
answer.
all I use is, I think it's like the Belgian comics. I don't know. I think that might even be an Adobe standard one. That's like my 99% brush, and then just lots of coloring in, basically. And then once in a while, like the dissolve brush on the circle. See that the dissolve brush on the circle. That's how professional it is.
Yeah, I use Kyle's brushes as well, but I modify them a lot.
But I find that like you don't. I think a lot of people starting out think you need to master like thousands upon thousands of brushes, where we all know it's a handful.
Yeah.
I just saw a bunch of guys shake your head no, saying no.
Yeah.
Exactly. I mean,
kind of find the one you like, don't you? And
yeah.
Yeah. You just find the like a couple that work for you and go with that.
Yeah.
And like Marko said, then you end up modifying that to your personal style. So you get like basically what comes out the box, and after using it for a period of time, you kind of like change it, and you change it so it works more in line with how you kind of progress and evolve.
Yeah.
Hey, Rich, I wanted to ask Rich who are some of the older artists that he likes.
Older
Marko
artists.
mentioned looking back at older artists and stuff that have done stuff like, are you a Frazetta fan, or like who do you look like to look at?
Picasso.
I mean, I'm a big fan of. Well, I'm not going to go too sort of pretentious, but I just used to like a lot of like I grew up kind of reading comics, you know. So
Yep.
and there were guys who sort of painted comics, if you know what I mean. Yeah. So people like like Heavy Metal magazine.
Yeah.
It wasn't a big thing over here, but I'd occasionally get my hands on a copy, and I'd see all these amazing kind of things like so a lot of American illustrators actually. So
Okay.
Frazetta, Bernie Wrightson,
Yeah.
Richard Corbin. So those kind of guys, and I just used to think they were amazing because they were just works of art.
Yeah.
But they were so like, oh, it's just a cover, it's just a magazine cover. And I'd spend hours just kind of looking at it. These are paintings, you know. This is like, to me, it was kind of like fine art, you know.
Yeah.
Kind of blows you away when you look at it. Yeah.
And so I loved all that. And what else is there? And then I got into sort of like I said, comics. So obviously people like Alex Ross and the British artist called Glenn Fabry. I used to love. Well, I still do. Still love his work.
Yeah.
Anything that looked painted, basically. You know, it was just like textures in there.
So you like the painterly style where it looks like it's
I loved all
in
that.
a museum.
More than like line work, you know, like the Jim Lee stuff, and it's, you know, all that's amazing. But I just loved all that painted work, and I just thought that looks amazing. And I loved history as well in school. So I loved a lot of the Renaissance artists and things like that. But it was just when I was a kid, really, that's what sowed the seed, is all those amazing American illustrators. I just loved all that.
When I went many years ago, I was fortunate enough to go to the Louvre, and I always wondered why people would sit and stare at a painting. And I walked in there, and there was a painting as big as a semi truck, and framed, and like from like the 17, and I'm like, I had to sit down, and I'm like, now I get it.
That's an expensive frame job.
There's so much to take in. Thinking, how the hell did someone do this?
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. Unbelievable.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm standing in front of posters for hours.
Yeah. It's contemporary art. It's like some people say, is it something that's going to go away? I think of it in the same way as like pop art back in the early 1900s, and it was like case of it was there as a reflection of what was going on in what was around you. So yes, a lot of ours is pop culture in the sense of movies and so forth, but it's art. It's still drawn and depicted in the same way. So yeah, it's art of its era.
Yeah, whether it's Warhol or Patrick Nagel or whatever, I mean, they all were pretty relevant at their time, obviously, and still hold up to the test of time. So it's fun to look back at the older stuff. I agree, Marko. Good call.
Yeah. What I wanted to know is Photoshop or Illustrator?
Photoshop.
Illustrator.
I was gonna say Illustrator. I was gonna say there's at least one Illustrator.
Okay, I'm gonna throw a knife in the middle. Duke it out, exactly. Scott, why would you say Illustrator?
I was gonna say I actually started when I first started just playing around. I was vector only.
Okay.
It's only later on that I picked up Photoshop when I bought my first tablet. Before that, I was just mouse and keyboard, and when I was doing that, it was all vector art. So all my early stuff is pure vector. And then I moved over to Photoshop, and since then
and when you went to Photoshop, you said, thank God.
I really enjoy it, but it's like I think my really early stuff was very much like anime inspired, so clean line work and stuff like that, and a lot of comic book stuff. So that really lent itself to it, to have that clean work. And then later on, and then I didn't pick it up for years afterwards. And when I came back to art, then it was like, okay, Photoshop, because I used to use that for my day job in graphic design and web. And it was just like, okay, the brushes have gotten better, and that was just like
the brushes,
period.
Those important brushes.
Well, it was like, even though I was like, but my early stuff is basically all the standard stock stuff that came with Photoshop, even before Kyle's stuff was part of it. But yeah. So I've tiptoed between the two, but yeah, I'm firmly in Photoshop at the moment.
So I'm a little bit older, and we started with something called CorelDRAW.
CorelDRAW,
yeah.
I remember that.
And they taught us that first semester or something like that, and then they brought us, Photoshop 1. or something like Photoshop 1 or 2 came out, and I said, why were they teaching us CorelDRAW when you could do this in Photoshop? This is amazing. You could play with text. I mean, it was just, it was a miracle.
Yeah, night and day. It sounds like.
Yeah.
Who said Illustrator? Wasn't it you, Scott?
I did. Yes.
Mike.
Okay.
Mike. 100% Illustrator. Yeah. I used to be, I did pen and ink drawing for years and years and years, almost exclusively. Just kind of for myself, and then I really wanted that perfect line, and so I think that's what drew me to Illustrator. And now that I'm fully in Illustrator, I kind of crave that perfect line, that delineation. I don't even use any everything in my work. Everything has a hard edge. It's just kind of where I am right now.
But you mastered that, Mike.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, he has mastered it. I started using Illustrator for that reason. I wanted that crispness of the line. And then I found that way too restricting. So that's why I went to Photoshop. And then I had this kind of learning curve of I'm never going to get it as crisp, or I'm never going to get it as crisp. And then eventually I just kind of let that go. And now it ended up being Photoshop. But like Doaly, I was 100% Illustrator when I first started, just because I wanted that crispness. But it doesn't quite lend itself to my style anymore.
Okay. So I guess we're not going to change anybody's mind here on using what software, but maybe we will get an answer to the question posed by Pete Hendricks. Shout out to you, Pete. Thank you for tuning in. What's the group's feeling on the obsession with silk screen prints over Giclée prints?
That is a good one.
That's a personal preference.
Say that I am not a huge fan of the screen print, and simply because I don't like the fact that when you print it, you've got any sort of fade that you want or any sort of transparency that you want, you've got to turn into some sort of pattern, whether it be a dot pattern, whether it be a line pattern, and whatnot. And I think when you're standing back from it, you can't even tell that. But that really bothers me because I really take a lot of time to layer transparencies, especially, in my work, layer transparencies and make it so I don't have to do that. So when I have to make a screen print and I have to do that, I'm kind of feel like I'm stepping back a couple of things. I'm degrading it to make a screen.
Okay.
So I personally like Giclée's, but that's for me and for my work. I mean, I've got screen prints all over the place. I mean, and I can see I think there's a huge collector market, and I think that seems to be what's driving screen prints a lot, because screen prints, kind of have that collector thing going on where, it's a set number, we make 300 or whatever, and that's it.
But I have
so it drives the collectability.
But they're also limited Giclée prints. I have multiple Giclée prints that are for example, the Pablo Oliveira Blade Runner, the pyramid one, the landscape one behind me, that's a Giclée print.
Danger.
I like both, actually. I like Giclée and I like screen prints. What I like about the screen prints is the limited color palette that you have to work with, and you gotta figure it out. You have to make a whole poster out of, let's say, 7 colors, and that's a tough job. And what some artists do with that limited palette is amazing. I'm always stunned. For instance, we were talking about Sarah Deck's Suspiria. When you look at it, it's how did, and it's only a couple of colors. And I think it's an art of its own. It's do you prefer one type of print, like a lino cut, for instance, or or screen print, whatever, right?
Yeah.
It's just a different medium, I would say.
Yeah.
You're definitely you're very, very limited with screen prints, but I love the process of it.
Yeah.
Especially when you're designing a poster, I really enjoy it.
Yeah, I understand it from the perspective of an artist. As personally, for me as a collector, I have to say I don't have a preference as long as the art is great.
Yeah.
That's what it's for.
Yeah, I'm hoping that's from a collector's point of view. I'm hoping that's the reason they buy the art, because they like the art and not because it's
hopefully,
screen
but
print
we
or
don't.
giclée. I don't think that should come into it in a sense.
Yeah,
because if you like the art, it's on your wall, unless you're looking at it from a resale value. But I've got prints which are screen and which are giclée, and I'm happy with both. There's an additional art form to creating a screen print, because it's like getting the maximum out of that limitation. And sometimes I know there's like the reward at the end of it. Once you get, you master a certain process and you get the best out of your palette, it's like, hey, great, you did that, and there's an achievement. Whereas giclée, not to say it's easy by any means, you're still producing art, but you don't have that extra step involved in that. But yeah, if I wanted to make my life easy, I would just do giclée and not have to worry about separations and all that sort of stuff. I'm probably still drawing the same method that I'm drawing now, but I don't have to do that post work in the sense, hey, let's spend a day or day and a half doing some separation. I just hope the collector or the person that's appreciating the art appreciating the art for what it is and not for the method it is.
Yeah, it's also very interesting that there are a lot of collectors out there that just collect 24 by 36 pieces. That's also really weird. Why would you limit yourself? I was selling.
They have really big walls.
No idea.
I was selling a beautiful piece, 18 by 24. The collector asked me, the guy who wanted to buy it, oh, is it 24 by 36? And I was like, nope, it's smaller. And then he was like, okay, then I'm sorry, I can't take it. I was like, what? Don't you like the art? What is this about?
So weird.
Yeah.
That happens a lot.
Yeah. Okay, by the way,
one of those things, it's like it's limited edition and all that sort of thing. So it's not like you're printing it out of a variety of sizes. It's kind of it's drawn and built for being one size. But yeah, I guess everyone has their little things. I guess it might just be the guy's home. He has a load of 24 by 36 frames, and that 18 by 24 is going to stick out like a sore thumb. It might just be a personal decision. Hey, each to their. I think each to their own from that point of view. If it's just that sort of aesthetic. But great. I think there's plenty of art there in all sizes, so you'll pick up something.
Another question from Sal. When you drawing portraits, Loomis or Riley? You have to make something of this, people. I don't know what he's talking about.
I'm trying to figure out what Sal's. Anyone else?
I have no idea.
Sal, give us some more detail, please.
I don't know. That's the question. Sal, put it in the chat.
When we're drawing portraits, did he say?
Yeah, he said when drawing portraits, Loomis or Riley?
Riley.
There must be two artists that none of us.
I'm really bad with names. I know art, but I don't know names.
Okay, I thought it was like something some effect or filter you have to use. I don't know.
We'll get back to you, Sal. We'll get back to you.
Okay, so when our artist figured out your very professional question, and maybe use this when they're at your level, Sal, they will get an answer for you. Okay, I want to touch upon a different project here. This is called crypto art. Have you ever heard of it?
Recently heard of it.
Recently heard of it.
Because of one of the Poster Posse members, Skinner. He's been doing some crypto art. So I was looking into it, what it is. I don't really know enough about it to comment on it.
Okay, but
I know it's something.
Could you share the research with us?
I believe it's art in the normal sense that like we'd all create, but it stays digital. And one of the big things about it is I think there's like a digital water print in it, not one that's visible to you, but it's kind of it's part of the metadata of the piece. So it always sticks with the piece. So it's not like you can just say, hey, right click it and so forth. That footprint is always going to be who the artist and so forth. I'm not sure how it's viewed and so forth, or if it is something that sits on the computer, or it's only viewed via like an app or a third-party gallery. That's the small amount that I've researched, because I saw Skinner had some pieces coming out.
It is basically like a cryptocurrency, in the end, and it is also has like it changes in value in terms of who owns it or whoever resells it or whatever, like a stock index in that regard.
Right. Okay.
And it's really interesting to see there are different platforms out there for it. But what I was asking myself was, why would you just buy something only digital? Is it like the Wu-Tang album?
Yeah.
Have it only once, and you own it.
I guess that's an interesting thing. If it's a case of it's a one of one in that sense,
yeah,
that's an interesting way of holding on to something and it has value. I'm not saying no to it. It's just it's so new that I'm not sure how I feel about it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
It's like, hey, if I might not have to do any separations again, that might be a good thing. So I'm not saying no. Never saying no to anything.
But isn't it just going the way of everything else, like being digital? It's just like the next thing. Before you know it, there'll be like art subscription channels where you can go there and pay $5.99 a month, and you can just look at loads of different pieces of art, for example.
That's weird.
Yeah, it's like digital frames in your house, isn't it? You can just change.
We won't buy prints anymore. We'll just be framing TVs all around our places and just have like the subscription art channel. I don't know.
Well, maybe that's something, like but I still wonder what to make of it. I like to have. It's like I'm weirdly, I don't like to have books in hand. I like to read digital, but I like to have art in hand, or at least have it physically on my wall. How the light,
How about art? Really?
Like from the printer, like how the light hits and everything, and like it's different feel.
We never would have known that, Tom.
Backdrop.
Really? Okay.
But yeah,
I want to ask Stephen something.
Go ahead.
I want to ask Stephen. I know Stephen's been in the art game for a minute or two. Is there anything you miss from when you started to now, or is it just vastly better now? Easier now?
It's definitely easier. It's quicker. When this will give my age away a little bit. When I was doing comics, there were no computers. Wow. So it was all hand drawn, hand painted. And then when a friend, he got another artist, a comic artist called Jason Brashew, brilliant 2000 AD guy. He bought a computer and I looked at it and said, no way, that's not going to happen. Within a month, I had a friend build me a computer. I didn't have much cash, so it was bits and pieces. And he brought it round in a Stella Artois box and plugged it into a monitor. And I had it running like that for about 2-3 months before I could get an actual case for it.
Oh, wow.
But now, fast forward many years, honestly, if the flat was on fire tomorrow, I'd pick up the cat in one hand and the Cintiq in the other hand. And then I'd go, and that'd be cool. Everything else could go. I wouldn't change it. I wouldn't. I love it. Yeah. It's the difference is phenomenal. Mostly, like I say, for speed and output, and what you can do. But it is really nice, like doing the sketch recently for the Goblins Ghouls thing, to go back and actually use a pen and a piece of paper.
Right.
Yeah, it's kind of more relaxing now. It's like a real nice sort of treat, and you feel quite chilled out just sitting there with a pen and a piece of paper.
But it's kind of cool to have that perspective too, because like you said, you were there before computers, and now that it's so far, it's like all computer now almost. I mean, I would imagine 99.9% of it's computers. So.
Yeah, no, I agree with you, but I still think it's kind of cool. And working in the games industry like I do, so many of the artists, there's a lot of them, kids I call them. They don't even know what a pencil is. It's like, right. And yet they're brilliant artists. Digital artists, either 3D or some 2D. But there's still something I think to be said, especially as it was touched on earlier by Marko, like anatomy. To do do a life drawing class, it's just going to help so much. And then, like Rich was saying earlier, I actually knew Glenn Fabry, who's a very famous comic artist. Got quite friendly with him when I moved to Brighton, and I used to go around to Glenn's, and Glenn would be surrounded by anatomy books, and he'd studying them all the time, and he was painting, superheroes and Judge Dredd, Batman, and all these sorts of things. But yes, do.
I had I had a quick thought. Having started, drawing as a child myself, and then going to pencils, and then pastels and oils and acrylics, sometimes I get the sensation when I'm on the Cintiq that my mind, because the process is somehow wired the same, that when I'm drawing on the Cintiq, and I'm floating, I call it, like I'm in that zone. I'm in the zone.
Mm-hmm.
I don't realize what I'm using for the output. I mean, it could be,
Yes.
And so that magic
Sure.
happens. And so the process feels the same. The utensil's different, and so sometimes I find that really fascinating, especially if you started with traditional and had that arc going over to the Cintiq or Photoshop computer.
You get some digital artists, some of the younger generation, they don't like using the Cintiqs. They'd rather use the pads, the Wacom pads, and they feel a disconnect with a Cintiq. Whereas for me, it's the closest thing to having a piece of paper in front of you. It's
Really,
like, where's the disconnect? It's like it's just sitting there, right, rather than being at the side of you and you're looking up. Yeah.
How many people here use a Cintiq? Does everyone use one?
Yeah.
I use an iPad Pro.
Okay.
I use that too.
Yeah, it's purely for mobility, because I'm always back between the South Coast and London, and I'm not lugging the big Wacom thing around with me everywhere, so I bought a Pro.
Yeah.
There was and I used to have a Cintiq, but the learning curve was a lot smaller and shorter than I thought, to be honest. But it's handy having an iPad Pro.
I've heard the iPad Pro is really good, though.
It's really good.
Yeah.
It is. Just being able to sit on a train and sit there and just sketch is great.
Yeah.
It's really good. And I've been using that for about 2 years now. So every piece I've done in the past 2 years has been done on an iPad Pro.
Wow,
linked with my MacBook.
Yep.
Okay. Sal wants to know if everybody's wearing pants. Just a little fun fact here.
Oh, Sal.
That's maybe not too nerdy for you people.
Can't say anything about that.
But what I want to know before we have to go, because we only have 7 more minutes and we have 2 more things I want to touch upon. And the first thing is, I want to have like a segment every time. It's called You Heard It Here First. And that is something from the art world or alternative movie poster scene, or technology or whatever, that you want to give a shout out to and people should look into. For example, we had before we talked to, what was it, Don, about Orlando's little protege?
Yeah, Yash in Peru is an artist, like a 14-year-old kid, and he came in and just had so many questions, and Orlando was, very busy at the convention, but he just took like 35 to 45 minutes to sit with this kid and have a one-on-one conversation with him. And I was standing with Yash's mom, and she was just crying. She goes, "You guys have no idea how important this is to him."
Yeah.
Like, she goes, "You don't know how this is changing his life right now." And I got a little teary-eyed. I was like, wow, damn, I didn't realize, and yeah.
So let's go around.
It was cool.
Let's go around. We're going to start with Mike.
The first shout out, I guess I'm gonna plug my book that's hitting Kickstarter on Monday. So it's been, I guess probably close to a year on and off working on it. I don't work it all straight, so it's kind of when I'm between projects I can put it together. But yeah, over COVID, it's kind of got a jump start, and it hit the home stretch. So, and that's going up on Kickstarter on Monday. So if you're interested, check it out.
What's your Instagram page, Mike?
Mike Mahle Art.
Yeah.
Instagram.
AHL.
It's all linked. It's all linked in the post that you will have to, for our second giveaway, have to go there anyway. So check out Mike Mahle Art. Chelsea, what's your plug?
Well, I recently started a Patreon. If anyone is interested, you can find me at patreon.com/cmloweart. I'll be posting whips and process behind the scenes images before I do it on social media. Along with, I'm getting ready to start doing a Christmas card for Christmas or in the holidays. So I'm going to start working on that next month. Just send it out to everyone.
Perfect.
Nice.
Pete.
Sorry. haven't got a huge amount to plug at the moment, to be honest.
You can plug
I'm
maybe a
working
fellow
on-
artist if you want to, Pete.
All artists are my fellow artists. I've got quite a few official prints on my website. I've got a new one coming out of Back to the Future, hopefully soon. Plus another Jurassic Park piece as well, which I'm going to be working on. That's about it, really. Yeah, just kind of watch my Instagram and see what's coming out, which is just 17th and Oak.
There you go, people. You heard it here first. Stephen, what do you have for us? What we hear here first?
First, shout out to Sal, and he should be on here.
Yeah.
I suppose. Oh, actually, the Printed in Blood Halloween book.
Yeah.
Yes.
Just because I got the good news that my image was approved, and they were using it to promote it.
Awesome.
Which was really cool.
Yes,
really
seen it
nice
today.
prop.
Perfect. Yeah, Steve is
Cheers.
also in the chat, so check that out. Print in Blood, cool guys. We had a talk for a Ghostbuster book back in the early days of COVID-19 lockdown. So check that out as well. And yeah, Stephen has a very cool piece in it. I bet, I haven't seen it yet, but I bet it's definitely one of a kind.
Congratulations, Steve.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Doaly, what do you have for us?
What do I promote? What's
You can promote, you can
I know
shout
what
out
we can
somebody
say about
else. You
Doaly.
know, it's up to you.
Doaly, I know.
okay? Go for it.
Doaly has already pre-booked his Xbox and his Sony PlayStation.
Yes.
There you go.
You heard it here
Weeks away.
first.
I'm
people.
jealous.
You heard it first. What's your PlayStation account name?
Okay, yeah. If you want to play games later on, my Xbox is King Doaly, because I'm so modest, and then my PlayStation is Doaly UK, one word.
All right, perfect. I'll add you soon.
Cool.
We need to play
Okay,
some
Doaly,
Ghost
I'm
of
sorry, I didn't
Tsushima.
steal your thunder.
No,
Let
that's
Doaly
cool.
promote his own thing.
Okay.
Next, I think. Go for
Okay, Scott, your turn, buddy.
Well, I was gonna. Stephen kind of stole the thunder there. I was gonna promote the Printed in Blood. I mean, it is Halloween. I don't think the book comes out till next year.
Yeah,
Is that right?
It's next summer.
Yeah.
But there may be a piece in there from me, but I don't know. I don't think you can say it out loud. I think we've signed certain pieces of paper, not being able to disclose whether or not there's artwork in there from us.
Yeah,
but-
Stephen can confirm or deny that in the chat. He's in there.
I might have something in there, and there might be another book coming out too, something with aliens or something along those lines. But I'm not at liberty
So it's
to
Galaxy
say.
Quest. That's cool.
Galaxy Quest.
Okay, Mike, what do you have for us?
Me? I think I already went.
I'm sorry, Rich. My bad.
Do it
My
again.
bad.
Nandor. Oh. Oh, I'm so bummed about that. Well, I started doing a lot more original art recently. I've been thinking of doing that a lot, and it's actually inspired. It's not pop culture or anything like that. It's mostly inspired by my weird dreams. So yeah, and it's I've been posting some teases, and actually that one piece that we did for this month, for the October Poster Posse passion project, is part of that. So yeah, I'll be doing more of that in the future.
All right.
Yeah, it's really creepy, really cool. Definitely go check out Marko's Instagram page to get more information about
Perfect.
that.
Rich, what do you got?
Yeah, nothing. Well, I've just done a lot of print work for Hero Complex Gallery. So I've done I think there was a Nightmare on Elm Street print that released last week.
Yep.
I got a couple more coming up for the con season, so look out for those. I'm working on a sort of dream project at the moment for well, I can't really say what it is, but it involves a big movie franchise involving dinosaurs, which should be out next year.
I wonder what that is.
Wait.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, perfect.
Is that
Land of the Lost?
That's all. Thank you so much for stopping by. We have also before you're gonna go, we have a little giveaway. We need to hurry a little bit because we need to set up the next stream. And the first one, the first giveaway is this beautiful Batman inspired piece. People should see it now.
It's gonna show up.
What's Don? Can you tell us more about it?
So this piece was by Adam Stothard,
who's going to be on in the next event.
Yeah, he's on in the next event. This was done as part of one of our passion projects. I thought it had a nice Halloween vibe to it. So, yeah, this will be one of the giveaways we'll be doing today.
Perfect. And then our second one is by none other than Doaly. What's that? Can you tell us a little bit more?
Let's let Doaly talk about that.
Okay, if it's correct, it should be my comic book cover for Marauders 15 for Marvel. Yeah. So that comes out in November, only a few weeks away. So for the giveaway, I'm of course getting some copies. I'm going to sign a copy and have that to give away to one lucky winner.
Perfect. That sounds very great.
That was a dream project.
And it looks amazing. So people, I have changed my mind a little bit. But I will take the Mindhunter comments on the post, obviously. But I will make, at the end of the day, I will make another post with all the art that are giveaways, and you will have to comment under that one. I think that sorts it out a little bit. So stay tuned, bear with me. You will find all the artwork on my Instagram at DropMacOfficial for the ones that are not in there yet. And yeah, we will have to go now. Sorry that I have to prepare people, but thank you everybody for stopping by. It's been such a pleasure to talk to the people that I haven't seen before, and I'll see the rest of you out there in 12 minutes for our great live draw session. Okay, guys, take care.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Yeah. Bye.
And we